The one anthology series I thought would get a little more hype is 1988's Monsters. Well, guess what? I think it deserves more than a mere mention in horror history. So let's take a trip to the late 80s and remember Monsters. Monsters was a show conceived by our friend Richard P. Rubenstein and Mitchell Gollin, both of whom are partners on one of our other favorite anthologies, Tales from the Dark Side. Now, at this point, we know Rubenstein knows what he's doing. He's got several horror flicks under his belt: Creepshow, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead. While on production of Monsters, he was also tackling producing duties for Pet Sematary and Tales from the Dark Side the movie. Anyway, you already got background from me on Rubenstein on the Tales episode, so creating a horror anthology was an easy move for him. The series was created because Rubenstein felt that they were not getting enough credit for the special effects they had done up until that point. So the production company put together a scissor reel of makeup effects they had created over the years, including stuff from Tales. And upon viewing, they thought, well, that seems like a good idea for a show. Put together your Monster of the Week, splash in a good story with a twist, and do more of a Brothers Grimm take than a slash 'em up. Rubenstein wanted the show to be both fun and scary. Back in '89, Rubenstein said this on The Tone: "We relate our stories with a more classic perspective on the genre than shows aimed at a younger audience, giving people a scare in a fun way. You can suspend disbelief more easily if you know in the back of your mind that it's not real, which is very different from following a psychotic killer through the middle of the night." The softer approach may be hinted at in the show's intro. It's memorable, but can become a tad redundant after watching an entire season. It was different from its anthology counterparts. Instead of the creepy with the matching imagery, this intro had the meta approach with a monster family set in a suburban 80s home, gathered around the television getting ready to watch their favorite show, Monsters. There's about a million reasons to love Monsters. I think for me the biggest was the balance between silly,
"You can turn off that damn stereo before I turn it off for you!"
and scary. Some of my more memorable episodes are on the silly side, like Satan in the Suburbs or My Zombie Lover. Sure, there were episodes that just didn't land, but you could say that for any of the anthology shows we've done. I will say that sometimes I can't recall which of these episodes came from Monsters or Tales from the Dark Side or the new Twilight Zone. I can definitively tell Tales from the Crypt episodes from all the others though. However, there's a fondness in my heart for Monsters. It has so much charm. I think Rubenstein proved his point with both of his anthology shows. You also get stories from Robert Bloch, Stephen King, Tom Noonan, Michael McDowell, Paul Dini, heck, even Bob Balaban gets a credit. I enjoyed the cast list as well. Debbie Harry, Jeff Conaway, Billy Drago, Chris Noth, Maxwell Caulfield, Ashley Lawrence, John Saxon, Lisa Waltz. Okay, I'll stop. You get it. So that said, here we go. Time for our favorite episodes. As always, if you haven't watched the series, I may spoil some of the episodes. There's a 30-year clause or something. Hey, these aren't my rules. Come to think of it, I don't have any rules. Portrait of an Artist, Season 2, Episode 2. This episode is probably the one that stuck with me the most. The less eerie reason is that Darren McGavin has a special place in my heart. A Christmas Story and Kolchak the Night Stalker, which is a column we need to cover for a variety of reasons. The other is the subject matter itself. There's no traditional monster here. A man, McGavin, watches over a gallery when a woman comes to visit. Upon her visit, she finds that the art is disturbingly human. Yes, the art is people, but not in the Soylent Green sort of way. The woman later comes back with a gentleman who sees one of the pieces and identifies it as his missing daughter.
Good Lord, it's Penny.
The art itself is just disturbing as all get out. There's one part where the woman sees a piece of human hair and starts to pull at the plaster, whatever they're covered or coated in. McGavin does an excellent job in this, as he usually does, but it's an interesting role for him. It's one I think that I could have watched as an entire movie.
Irish! Chinese now. I never did get to see any of those Chinese folk. Well,
All in a Day's Work, Season 1, Episode 21. Adrienne Barbeau! One of my favorite horror heroes. There are so many badass women in the genre, and she is in the top 5. I love that we still see her pop up here and there. Alright, crush rant complete. For now. So yes, Barbeau is the main reason for even choosing this. She just has this way to create charismatic characters. This one revolves around a man who goes to Barbeau for help, saying that he has a doppelganger.
I've got a doppelganger. A double.
One of my favorite devices. She tells him that this type of magic is above her skill set and is rather dangerous. When the doppelganger winds up in her home and after her son, she agrees to take on the task. The best moments involve Barbeau and the demon Baphomet. There's a little bit of corniness to the character of Baphomet, played by Eddie Velez, who seems to be aging backwards. It's that A-Team magic, right? He plays that guy who thinks he's cool so well. The demon effects on this are pretty rad as well. There are a few squirmy moments, but it's more entertaining than anything.
Well, destroying a demon makes up for conjuring one. I guess my heavenly tablet is clean.
The Waiting Game, Season 3, Episode 10. Okay, so all of these are the ones that stuck with me. When I think of monsters, these are the ones that pop into my mind when the series is brought up. That said, have you ever watched something and there's a particular moment that just sticks with you? Maybe not just a scene, but how it feels. This episode has that for me. When the two Air Force officers in the bunker launch the missiles realizing they've destroyed the world, you feel that enormity even though you aren't there and this is total fiction. You think you know what's coming, but the twist at the end was not anything I was expecting. You know what? I'll leave this one to you if you haven't seen it. I'd be interested to hear how it lands with someone who hasn't seen it at all or hasn't seen it in a long time. Mannequins of Horror, Season 1, Episode 23. This is like an extremely long Tool video. It's actually based on a story from Robert Bloch, whose name may sound familiar as he wrote Psycho, The House That Dripped Blood, and 62's The Cabinet of Caligari. If I had to choose the creepiest of all the episodes, this would be the one. The ending leaves you unsettled. I think the makeup effects on this are brilliant. Seeing the surgeon's face mangled and rearranged is an image that you see later in your nightmares, and then some. You're just walking down the street and boom, it's in your head. The story was originally presented in the 1972 anthology film Asylum starring Peter Cushing, which features stories from Bloch. But honestly, I don't know who's creepier here, Dr. Starr or the clay figures. Actually, this is a real toss-up. Brilliant surgeon who creates clay people to do his evil bidding, or massive predator, not the cool kind, Dr. Starr. Yep, Starr's gotta go. La Strega, Season 1, Episode 24. This is written by one of my favorites in horror, Michael McDowell, which I've probably mentioned a million times. So here's the thing, this one isn't especially scary. Rob Morrow plays a man who accuses a witch, I assume she's also a witch here, played by Linda Blair. He accuses her of putting a curse on his mother, which led to her eventual death. Blair makes a deal with Morrow that he's to stay with her for 2 weeks in order to prove she's innocent. Over this period of time, he winds up falling in love with her and learns the truth about what really happened regarding his mother. The episode is just steaming with sexual tension between Blair and Morrow. Blair brings more of the sexy than Morrow, though. I think it also says something that Lizzie Borden directed these episodes. She would go on in the next couple of years to write and direct segments for Playboy's Inside Out, Red Shoe Diaries, and Erotique. Vibe check complete. The plot gets a little confusing, but Blair, just doing what she does, sells the shit out of it. Holly's House, Season 1, Episode 2. Holly is a dick. Holly's a large animatronic doll with a very calm demeanor, except for when she doesn't fucking have one. Holly is the center of a children's show. She's this demonic, self-aware Cabbage Patch doll who gets jealous when her puppeteer, Karen, becomes distracted with her relationship with the postman on the show when she finds out that she's pregnant.
Yes to you and our baby.
Hope I've got you. Holly then takes over and tells Karen that they can never be apart. Karen at one point even says,
Holly doesn't want me to have a baby.
Weird. At first, they believe that Holly's behavior is just Karen acting out, but Holly proves she's in charge when she kills the postman. Holly sucks, but I love the man who actually controlled her, Michael J. Anderson of Twin Peaks and Carnival, which should also be a column that we cover. So, where can we watch the series? At one point, the show was running in syndication on Sci-Fi and the beloved Chiller channel. You can see the first season on Prime, but that's all you get. You can either get the DVD set on eBay or Etsy, or you can hit up the YouTubes. How does this one end? Well, there isn't much in the way of an exact reason for the ending. There's a small note out there that Monsters was seen as a direct spin-off of Tales from the Dark Side. Totally can see that. I figure the viewership just wasn't there like most of the beloved anthologies, but sometimes it's best that they don't just run for an eternity like anything else. It wound back up on Sci-Fi in the 90s for a bit, and then in 2011, Chiller picked it up. Man, Chiller was the best. You guys want to talk about doing a show on something, just run clips of Chiller promos for like hours. The DVD was finally released in 2014, and that was it for the series. If you haven't seen this yet and you're a fan of anthology horror, like me, please check this one out. You know what? Let's just blow this up as a beacon of our love for the show. Just blow it up. Just like it a bajillion times and send it to your best friends and send it to your enemies and just your grandma, whoever. All right, I'm getting carried away. Until next time, and don't forget the candied critters, my creepy companions.
I'm content that the price has been paid for my life.